Welcome everybody to a brand new show here on the Goodman Games Twitch channel. I am Mr. Michael Curtis, and this is my maw. Well, not my maw, but this is my mouth. This is going to be the official mouthpiece of Dungeon Crawl Classics because in case you just have stumbled upon this by accident looking for Critical Role, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're into DCC, you're going to find out some really cool things because I am the director of product development for Dungeon Crawl Classics, and that means I know stuff which is going on. So in the past, my first guest here has made it a point of doing what's new with Goodman Games. And because of that, we had to do it, at a convention every now and then. But because of the technology of Twitch, we can bring it to you on a monthly basis now. So let me introduce my first guest, who without him, we wouldn't be here at all. Like maybe like an existence phase, but not here on Twitch.
Just to be clear, I'm not Mike's mother. That's not what he means. This is not Ma of Mike in that sense.
Mr. Joseph Goodman. Joe, thank you very much for coming on the show and helping us get things rolling. No.
Thanks, Mike. Nice to be here. This is a great show so far.
Thank you. Did you get any sleep in the last 24 hours, or are you
less than usual? A little less than usual. What about you?
I was actually up earlier and at work because I'm still dealing with that. My body was still thinking it was 9 o'clock when it was, when it was not. So
yeah, I know. Bodies, they get you every time. So I think we're here to talk about some DCC stuff. Is that right?
That's it. We're gonna kick off with we might as well just go right to the core. I know some people are aware that this is actually the 9th year that Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG has been out. So coincidentally, or it's kind of weird because we've got a 9th printing in the works. So
it did work out nicely. It's almost like we planned it, and I wish I had planned it because it would have been much better that way. But it's just the way it worked out. But yeah, we have a 9th printing in the works. I actually have some advanced covers, and I know you have some graphics that we're going to show. So I thought maybe I'd just show everybody what's coming down the pike for the 9th printing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
All right. So I got a stack here. I'm going to show them one by one. First, we have the core rulebook, the Classics Doug Kovac's blue cover. So the good news is nothing much has changed. And we'll talk about the soft cover printing in a minute where a little bit did change, but same rules, no 2nd edition. We're not announcing even a 0.5 edition, none of that stuff. The overall construction's the same. In the back, we always update the ads for some of the third-party products or our new releases and so on. And this one actually has, I don't know if you can see it, 3 sewn-in bookmarks of different colors. Yeah, very exciting. So you can bookmark 3 pages now. But just a couple minor changes like that. Something that I've started doing, which is actually really cool. There's foil on the cover. I'm going to move this around if you can see the shininess. And I've been working with the printer on some new kinds of foil techniques. And I'm going to use my cell phone to see if I can shine a light if this works. There's actually holographic sparkles in the foil, which may or may not actually. Apparently, this doesn't show off in Twitch very well.
I don't think you actually have your flashlight isn't actually on. So.
Oh yeah, there we go. Technology. There we go. Oh, you kind of got it there. Anyway, there's holographic sparkles in the foil, so it looks really cool in person. So I think it's really cool. But if you already own it, you don't have to buy another one unless you're Jim Scatch, in which you're going to buy 7. But for everybody else, you don't need to buy a new one. It's the same old rules, just a new printing to make sure we can satisfy new fans.
Well, we may not do the hard. We may not do the sparkling holographic stars on another printing. So you probably do want to get a copy of this one just to be
Good
safe.
Point. Just to be safe. Just to be safe. Yeah. yeah. And then this cover, the San Julian Wizard Pterodactyl cover, for lack of a better word, was we did this, and it was one of the most popular alternate covers that we've ever done, and it's just, people loved it. I mean, it's also just a really cool cover. So I did another run of this one just because it's been so popular. And again, we'll see if I can work my phone here. There's actually holographic like little stars there. You can see them twinkling a little bit inside the logo. Look at the D and the C there. It's actually really cool in person if you get the light to shine just right. So I asked the printer, like, you got any more foils? And they showed me this huge catalog of them, which is pretty cool. So this will look really cool on your shelf. Now let's show you the new stuff, the exciting stuff. So if we can show Elena the graphic of the Stefan Pogue wraparound cover. You guys know Stefan has been doing art for DCC for forever. So I asked him if he could do the cover.
It's my newest favorite cover.
Yes, yeah, I gotta hold it so you can see the full scope, and you'll see the rest on the screen. But it's this really cool, crazy looking dragon thing. He actually illustrated the spine as well. That's upside down. There you go. And then there's a back cover version too. And then of course, if you stretch it out, it is a wraparound cover. So it turned out looking really cool.
Stefan really he really knocked it out of the park on that one.
Yeah.
First time I saw that, I was like, that is amazing. Oh yeah. I mean,
And then I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering it right, that we actually put the art. Yeah, so in the back of all the printings, there's the art actually appears in the back as well, just sort of random spread in the back. But it really turned out amazing. He did a great job, and it's just got so many cool, weird looking monsters and amazing magic and stuff like that. It looks really cool.
yeah. Let us know if you would love to see that on like a a DM screen at some point. So I mean,
That's a good point.
I think would be an awesome con special or something. So
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember. Let's see. I believe we put a new adventure in the back of this one, the 9th printing. Isn't that right, Mike? Keep off the borderland.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, we have a new adventure written by me. And it is inspired by what is it? Not Manly Way Wellman. Whose name is William Hope Hodgson. William Hope Hodgson.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right. His Borderlands novel, the like 500 pager, 900 pager, 1,000 pager, whatever it was.
So yeah, a little tongue in cheek, keep off the borderlands. So it's a fun one. You can drop it right in the middle of any campaign, and in true DCC style, if things go well, the characters had adventure, and if things go horribly wrong, you have an entirely new campaign. With those same characters. I mean, they'll just be on some other plane of existence or something. So yeah.
That's cool. And we kept Portal in the Stars, of course. Portal into the Stars is the basic starter, but Keep Off the Borderlands will be in all four new covers of the new printing. And then that leads me to the Dying Earth edition. Many of the backers of the Dying Earth Kickstarter, I think this came up as like a fan comment or something, but this is idea of doing like a Dying Earth Wizard themed cover. So San Julian has this amazing cover. So it's San Julian's second cover. And this is the Matt Hildebrand perfectly captured the look and feel for a Dying Earth cover. This is the Dying Earth edition that'll go out just to backers of that Kickstarter when the Dying Earth Kickstarter ships.
Yep.
And it's also got Doug did some cool new spine art too, if you can see that little lizard guy. Turned out great.
The ongoing evolution of the DCC spine. No, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So all these are advanced copies I just got from the printer. The rest is on a boat. It'll be here in 4 years or whenever the boat gets here. These days, you never know. But whenever the boat gets here, we'll
if you want it early, you have to swim out past the international date line and collect it from the vessel. That's it.
Exactly.
But we do have something which is coming faster than that, right? We have something which I believe is being printed as we speak. So
the soft cover, you mean?
Yes, the soft cover. Yep.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So the hardcover and the soft cover both needed reprints and went out at slightly different times. We had a little more time to work on the soft cover just because the old printing sold out a little slower. And that gave us a chance to work on something. So some of you know, well, if you've read basically anything in Appendix N, it was mostly written in like between 1930 and 1950, and it almost all uses male pronouns. He did this, he did that, etc. And that language crept into the DCC core rulebook, mostly because that's where my brain was when I wrote most of it. So we've talked for years about doing something to upgrade some of that terminology today and a little more modern phrasing. The challenge is, if you've read these books, they're kind of big books. There's a lot of words to change, and a lot of the layouts are very tight, for lack of a better word. So it might not seem like a big deal, but if you start changing all sorts of it's not even all sorts. If you make changes, then some of the like exact cutoffs to accommodate the illustrations and so on, a little bit of change can mean a sentence creeps over the next page, and 4 pages later that screws up a page break, and then you have a blank white page, and so on and so forth. So Mike had a really exciting assignment for the last month or two of going through and changing every example of he today. And Mike, do you want to tell them about that month of your life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't just me. It was Matt Hildebrand. He did the initial groundwork, and he went through and kind of did a global, replace and everything. And then, I don't know how many pages that adds, because for every he that goes to they, you gain 2 letters, and then that all adds up. But then you have to go back and you have to reconjugate all the verbs. So verbs no longer become plural; they become singular. So it's so it was interesting. So there was a net gain of I don't know how much, but they're all total. We made changes to 1,524 words over the course of the book in order to kind of bring everything up to a more modern kind of gender neutral type of presentation and everything. But it was worth it. I mean it's like as we say, most of the Appendix N stuff was written at a very different time period, and time changes, language changes, and everything. And I mean, it was a bit of work, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't all that much work if it makes somebody feel more welcoming to DCC. I mean, if it looks that over and they think, okay, this is cool, then I mean, good job done. So
yes. So as these guys get this, there's two ninth. I mean, each of these is a ninth printing, but the physical construction of the soft cover is slightly different because it will have they instead of he. As somebody in the chat mentioned, yeah, global find and replace is very risky. I guarantee we messed up somewhere. Mike had a good point where some of the patrons, for example, actually are he, they're not they. So some of the he's got changed to they. Then if it was referencing a male patron, you had to go back and change it back to he, stuff like that. So as you guys read the ninth printing soft cover, which is at the printer and will be here in 4 to 6 years, probably a couple months, but whenever it gets here from the supply chain issues of the world, we have a stomp the typo tool. If we did make any boo-boos, we encourage you to tell us, and then we can sort of tweak that for the next printing as well. But I mean, I think we got it probably 95% right. I'm sure there's something that slipped through as you guys proofread a 500-page book.
Right. And then we also did, in addition to doing that, we did the usual stomp the typo thing. So we clarified a couple things. Like the one thing we had, the biggest issue that I noticed is there was that thing about luck modifiers being added to spell checks, which was it's an exception to a rule, not the rule, and that caused the most confusion to new people coming into the game and everything. So that was the first thing I went through and said, nope, we're moving this, we're putting this over. This is an exception to the rule and everything. Hopefully to kind of keep that down. So so.
Yeah, the goal of the new printings is literally just to reprint it and fix typos. We're not trying to change any rules or change the player experience. So any quote typo fix that inadvertently changes the player experience is not the goal.
Yeah. So this will be we're calling the softcover printer the ninth printing revised. I think that's kind of what we're using the word for that. And then of course, once the next time we do a next run of hardcovers or whatever, I mean for 10th printing, whatever.
Yeah, they'll just true up and be the 10th printing.
Yeah, so eventually everything's going to go back in place. And this is also kind of the language which is going forward, kind of in like the company style guides we're working on and stuff like that. So it's we're kind of being more open and more welcoming and just on a company-wide basis and everything with our publication. So
yeah, we've only got 99 DCC modules to back catalog, so no problem getting those fixed. Can you have that done by next week, Mike?
No, we have 100.
That's right. Yeah. So it might take a while on the back catalog, folks, but going forward, we'll true it up as best as possible.
Right. All right. So that's really the big news with the DCC rulebook and everything. And I've got other people waiting, Joe, and I know you've got small kids who are playing trucks and stuff anyway. So so I appreciate you coming on and helping talk about this and everything and helping kick off the show. So
thanks, Mike.
I think we'll be bringing out our next guest in just a moment, so just hang in right there, and we'll be right back. Okay. everybody, we are back, and joining me now is it's a name who, if you pay attention to the credits, you probably are familiar with, but if you may have not seen him live and in the flesh. Joining me is Matt Hildebrand. Matt, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Mr. Curtis, thanks for inviting me. I definitely am one of those faces that's better on a credits page than I am on a video stream. But we'll do our best.
you have the most honest email email address of anybody I know. So there you go.
Yep, it's exactly what it says on the tin. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So why don't you, for the people who really don't know, I mean, I'm aware of what you do, and I'm very thankful that you do it because it makes my job a heck of a lot easier. But why don't you let people know what your role is at Goodman Games?
Sure.
Because it's kind of changed a little bit, right? It's
it has. Yep, totally has changed a little bit. Over the course of time, I've done a few different things for the Goodman Games, including doing some video editing and motion graphics for Kickstarter videos. But most of my time now is spent as a graphic designer and layout artist, and also art director. So I'm the intermediary between most of the other folks on the team and all the artists who, are a special breed and are important to the whole process. And in my opinion, they're one of the best things about the Goodman Games products is the amazing talented artists that have a variety of styles that keep everything we do looking amazing and on brand and different than everything else on the stands.
I completely agree, and and I'm very glad that you have the job of helping manage the artists, because I have to manage writers, and that's bad enough, so
I'm happy to let you take care of that for sure.
Okay, I'll handle the word monkeys, and you handle everybody else. All right. So
fair enough. It's my pleasure.
So speaking of handling artists and word monkeys, for most people, we announced this a little while back. I covered it a little bit on the Ask Us Anything show that Chris Doyle and I did she's like yesterday. But some of you know that there is there's a monster collection which is coming out called Dungeon Denizens, and that is coming out for both 5th edition and for Dungeon Crawl Classics. So we're in the process right now of it's most of the 5th edition stuff is done. So obviously we are working with the 5th edition people. So we're waiting for everything for them to kind of be finalized. And once they say, okay, this monster is good, then the DCC crowd takes it over, and then we're like, okay, now what do we do with this thing? Because we don't want to make it we don't want to make it a pure 5e monster, because that's already been done. So so it's like, how do we DCC-ify 5th edition monster? So so yes. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been challenging in some places, but it's been really freeing in other places. Just I working development often with the converters. I'm like, I have no idea what this term means in DCC. Get rid of that. It's so it's exactly, how do we gonzo this up? That's been a big question that's been going on here. So
a fine question. Yeah. This is a big project for sure. And like you said, Mike, so far I've only seen the 5e layout version of this book, but there will be a DCC version too of all 500 plus monsters that are going to be in this thing. Yeah. And a big part of my job on this is a crazy giant spreadsheet of all the creatures and what artists are going to be taking care of them. And that is the less than fun part of my job, is the logistics, but a necessary part for a book this big. The amazing part of my job is after the commissions are sent out, eventually the artists send in these amazing works of art, and opening my email box is like Christmas morning, because these amazing pieces that come in every day that are slowly going to filter into the layout, as you said, and as this book is created. So I do think we have a couple samples we can share.
Yeah, we do have a couple of works here. I believe with you, was the Ash Guardian one of the first ones that we sent around?
I believe that is correct. Yep.
Elena, could you please bring up the Ash Guardian, please? So yeah, so we show this thing off and let some of the people kind of take a look at this.
Yeah, totally the case. I did my best to pull a variety of different monsters from a variety of different artists. This one's by Aaron Creeder, who is amazing. And you can see how this is a full color illustration that is something different. Most of the books that Goodman Games puts out are black and white on the interior. This is going to be color the whole way through. So these artists are working traditionally, like there is a real piece of paper that has this illustration on it, but then the artist takes it into a digital world and does some transparency work, etc., to make it work on the backgrounds we're going to use. But the good thing is, if any of the fans fall in love with any of these illustrations, they can be bought. They exist in the real world with paint and paper, which is a pretty cool thing.
Right. There's some of the other ones you have. I'm trying to find my list in front of me, but if you remember the one, we've the White Warg, I believe, is it, or the Warg White? So
that could be right. Yep, I'm going to slide my windows around too and get the list up as well. Yep. This, I think everyone can recognize the handiwork of Brad McDevitt on this one. Nice and juicy, the way a lot of Brad's artwork is.
Yep. And let's see what else. We also have we have a portal worm as well.
So, there you go. Sounds good, Mike. You must have the list in front of you. That's great. Yep. A Doug Kovacs special, the portal worm. Yeah, which is great.
We have a piece by Will McAusland, of course. Will, I don't actually have the monster name for that in front of me, but
that's okay. I think there's a series of lightning giants, and this is one of them. Some of the lightning giants are more warriors, some are more clerics. I think this one might be in the latter category, but between the color and the perspective, I think he did a great job of lightning giantess in this one.
Right, and just so you can prove that Wizards of the Coast isn't the only one who can do a fairy inspired monster and everything, we have the Buka.
That's right.
So.
Yep, artist Jesse Moan did this one, and I think that's a good thing about a book of 500 monsters is there's such a wide range, right? From the warg with its entrails trailing behind to something a little bit more on the fairy end of things, a little bit more colorful. And we have the Librigatus, I believe, or Librigatus or something like that, first one. And there was a question: will each monster have a different illustration for the 5e and DCC? No. It was going to be the same illustration because we were illustrating more than 500 monsters. Exactly the case. Yep.
The stat, there will be different stats, and a lot of the kind of flavor text will be the same, except where we have to change it for like DCC purposes. Like obviously we won't be referring to anything specifically like like a Demogorgon or something like that because they don't exist in DCC land. So, if we were going to do 1,000+ illustrations for it, you wouldn't be seeing this book ever. So.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Stefan Pogue did the Labractus, by the way, as well. And that's what I've seen in the layout that I've seen on the 5e side is, like you said, Mike, there's not going to be empty space in this book because every little bit is filled with a little something. Encounters based on the monsters that are featured on that page, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's going to be lots of use to this book besides the pretty pictures.
Right.
In addition, all the artwork is going to be used as VTT tokens for tabletop use, for virtual tabletop. So the monsters will appear in the book, and also there's going to be tokens, so they can be used online as well.
Right. So 5e is just the 5e version is just about finishing up. The DCC version we've converted more than 100 of them, and we're on track to we're looking to finish up just past Christmas, started the new year and everything, and then of course it has to go into layout and all the rest of that stuff. So so the goal is to get it out next year at some point. So we don't have an estimated time for it, but don't put it on your Christmas list. Is what I'm saying. But keep an eye out for it next year. But we do have some stuff which is going to be coming your way a little bit quicker, which also has some cool art. And this is a little thing we like to call Mutant Crawl Classics. So so kind of like we did with the DCC rulebook, Mutant Crawl Classics is going into a reprint. So we have some new covers with that, and so of course we have the standard. We have the kind of standard Kovacs cover, the kind of the pink color. So if Elena, if you could bring that one up just to remind people what they look like. All right, cool. So
Yep. And similar to what Joseph said, there's going to be some foil applied to the logo on this one as well. I did a poor job of trying to illustrate that in this image that we're looking at, but in the actual book itself, I've seen a little clip of it. There's a real nice silvery kind of foil to to over top of the logo that kind of it looks amazing.
right, it may or may not be radioactive. So yeah, we don't know. So so that's so we're also going to have we're going to have a St. Julian cover, which is really, I mean, this is a creepy cover. I mean, this is this is the difference between two different worlds, like between the Doug's cover and the St. Julian cover. So I think this is an awesome one. I saw this as a woo. I don't know if I want to play this game.
Yeah, anytime Doug Kovacs illustrates the optimistic cover, you don't want to be in the other world, that's for sure.
Yeah, but more importantly, since these are okay, so more importantly, before I get to the fact of this, this also coming out, there will be a softcover version of the MCC rulebook. So this is the first time we've done a softcover book. It was going to be the same price point as the DCC one, $24.99. So if you're looking to get people involved in MCC, or if you want to try it out yourself, this is kind of the perfect price point to get involved in there. The books they've shipped, so we're looking like they should be available for sale early to mid next month, December. So coming
Nice.
your way quickly. So if you've been looking to get an MCC, now's the time to do it. No.
So do put those ones on your Christmas list.
Yeah,
Sounds like they will be on.
Christmas
All right. Good deal.
All right.
All right.
Well, we're about a half hour into the show, and believe it or not, we still a lot of ground to cover. So, Matt, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and I hope you come back sometime. Next time we have more cool stuff to show off. All right.
I will do my best. Thank you, sir. Nice to be in here.
Hang out there. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, I am back. I'm back by myself for a little bit because I got some news to drop on you, but I have more guests waiting in the wings. Actually, maybe they're waiting in the locker room. So they give you hints of what's going on next. So, all right. So so we've got a couple of announcements which you may not have seen coming. Some of them you might have. Since we just got done talking about MCC, I have some MCC related news. First of all, we have two new MCC adventures kind of in the works. They basically have gone through most of the editing right now and everything, and they will be out next year. One is by Marzio Muscadera, and the other one is by Tim Schneider. Both of them are amazingly MCC goodness. One may take place in some place that we might have gone in the past. Actually, both of them take place in some place we have gone in the past. I don't want to say too much about them because I will talk about them in a later show. But speaking of stuff to keep an eye on, I'm very happy to announce that a new project has kind of gone underway. So MCC, great game. It does what it sets out to do very well. But the one thing I've always felt that MCC is not strong, not as strong as DCC is the fact is that it seemed to be very focused to me. I mean, like DCC is, Joe has done such a good job of distilling like that appendix N. And if you have DCC, you could run like, as we see, you could do like, like a Conan inspired campaign, an Elric inspired campaign, but I mean, there's so much different ways to take it. MCC is very much designed to do a sort of apocalypse, and that's cool and everything, but I've always thought it's like that's not really the apocalypse that I think of when I think of like post-apocalypse. I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up to the Mad Max movies. I grew up to Steel Dawn. I grew up to the Threads, The Day After, and everything. So kind of how we've done things in the past with Lankmar and Dying Earth, we have come out with kind of a supplemental line which basically takes objects from like the core rules and gives it its own twist. So right now, just recently started, and this is going to be a long time development, so I'll be talking about this a lot in the future to come, but we have something which is coming out called Radiation Crawl Classics. So Radiation Crawl Classics is basically that post-apocalyptic game that if you grew up and wanted to do something that was a little more contemporary, a little less laser guns and stuff, and more like people with crossbows, strapped to their arms, and everybody's dressed in like a mohawk and a ballerina outfit because it's the apocalypse and fashion don't matter. So that's what we're working on right now. I have a great team which is kind of put together. One of them will be on here in a little while, but I just want to let you know this is in the works. We're really excited about this. It's not going to replace MCC. It's not like MCC second edition or anything, and it's very much not going to be kind of going in the same territory that Crawling Under a Broken Moon has done. So we're kind of navigating that passageway in between that basically creates the stuff that we want to play with. So I've always wanted to do a Mad Max game, and I think I could do one with the MCC rules, and we tweak things a little bit. So that's the plan. We're in the very preliminary stages of it right now, so there's no play testing imminent and anything. We're literally have just started like 2 weeks ago, started having discussions. So this is maybe 2 years down the line or anything, but it's going to be awesome. And when we're finally together, we will be having play tests on it. So we'll be talking more about Radiation Crawl Classics in the future. But so as you all know, we are now approaching the holiday season, which means it is time for a DCC holiday adventure. And this year we have something a little different on tap. We have something which is which is actually involved in here. Steve Newton pitched a great idea for a holiday adventure. We are not doing a Christmas themed or winter themed within. We're actually doing a Thanksgiving-ish themed one. We are very happy to announce Feast of the Gobbler Witch will be dropping hopefully the start of December. We're just going to miss Thanksgiving. So Stephen Newton pitched me an idea which involves Thanksgiving, the Salem witch trials, Jamestown, and you may or may not fight a cranberry sauce ooze at some point. So it is a heck of a lot of fun. Stephen and I we both have the same background when it comes to certain things. This one maybe leans a little bit closer to Halloween than it does to Christmas. We had some discussion like, ooh, maybe do we go a little bit too far on this? But in the UK, it's a tradition of showing ghost stories on Christmas Eve. So, like, hey, there's that element of spookiness to it. So, so it should be a lot of interesting. Should be a lot of fun. It's some cool stuff in it. I had a lot of fun reading this one, and I think Stephen play tested a little bit over Empire of the Con. So some people may have reported fighting a giant mutant turkey or not. I can't say if that was true or not. All right. So, also kind of announced at Empire Con is the 2021 yearbook that will be coming out, and there will be 5e content in that, and there will be DCC content. So we have working on that. We have a retrospective by my partner in crime in Twitch, Brendan LaSalle. He is bringing more mustaches to the party. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Magical Mustache Part 2. So just when you thought it was safe to go back to the barber, nope, Brendan's got more stuff in the works for you. We've also got Harley Stroh has put together the rules for Lost Pits of Argata. Some of you might recall that from the I believe it was the last Gen Con that we were actually at that was in person. It was a tournament set up. So we're going to be, if you want to reproduce that at home. And Mike Bolam has actually stepped up and also produced a variant rules for that. So you can actually play that without a judge. So if you've got nothing, if you've got one of those gaming stuff where it's just you and a couple of friends and, somebody can't make it, you can break out and start fighting for the slave fish. That's it. So it's that is going to be awesome. And also in there in DCC related stuff, a new Shutter Mountain adventure. Black Mountain Lights, written by me, written by yours truly. So I've been playtesting a bunch of stuff. It's a fun one. I enjoy writing this one, and I've been itching to kind of get back to the Shutter Mountain. So when the opportunity came up, I said, let's go meet some Shud folk and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens to Baby Tum. So you too will love Baby Tum. Now, every time I played this, everybody's yelling Baby Tum. So there we go. So yeah, so more Shutter Mountain stuff coming out later this year. And I think that yes, we will have a sneak preview at some of the Dungeon Denizens DCC monsters there, both 5e and the DCC version. So if you want to kind of get a sneak peek and see what we're going to be doing with the Dungeon Denizens book, check it out. It'll be all in there. So and then just okay, all right. And one last thing, I'm sure people want to know kind of what's going on with Dying Earth. I'm sure that's been on a lot of people's minds lately. I'm very happy to announce that things are progressing. I had a discussion with the team not too long ago. They have hit the 25% completion of the stretch goals. Everything is currently on course to deliver on time and everything. So progress is being made. It's one of those things, no news is good news. We continue to plod on toward the end of civilization as we know it. So Dying Earth is all good. So that's kind of what one last thing. This is going to be more in the new year, but we will be having another open call for DCC for writers. Some of you may remember that we did the mystery map competition about 8 or 9 years ago at this point. We will be doing that again. So if you wanted to kind of give a shot and try to see if you have what it takes to write for DCC, keep an eye out for that. I'll be talking more about that in shows to come. So get your pencils out and start brainstorming now. So that's basically what I need, and I'm going to bring on a whole passel of people in a moment. So just stay there, and we're gonna exit up. So all right, so hang in there. Go get some popcorn. I'll be right back. All right. Hey everybody, I am back, and as you can see, I have brought an entire crew of talented people who want to come here and kick your butt and kill your kobolds and kind of take it to the championship. So I can't think of any much better to introduce this crowd of ne'er-do-wells, of top athletes here than the man who created Xcrawl, Mr. Brendan LaSalle. Hey buddy, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for coming on the show and bringing this awesome group with you. So, all right.
Team Xcrawl, baby. I'm proud of each and every one of them. So happy to have everybody here with me.
Yeah. So, who do you have here, and what position do they play?
Okay, so let's start with. I'll go backwards. I'll start with the newest. That'll be James Michael Spahn. Okay, who is has written one of the new Xcrawl adventures, which will be one of the stretch goal adventures for the Xcrawl Classics Kickstarters. It's a lot of background in Xcrawl, though. Has been with us since on the periphery of it, but since the very beginning, he's been known about it and been all about it. So I was super glad to have him on board. Came up with some great. His adventure is hilarious. I got to play through it. It's really, really, really good. Very exciting. Then of course you guys, Julian Bernecki. Julian Brokeneck. Julian is another big long-time Xcrawl supporter. I'm super happy to have him on the team. Also doing one of the stretch goal adventures, which I also got to play through, and it was equally awesome and hilarious. Julian lists every project he's a part of, so it's super great to have him. And then it's time to introduce my arch enemy. This is everyone. This is Valerie Emerson. And Valerie is, worked with me on the core book, designed some of these spells, actually did the 0 level funnel from the 0 level funnel from the back of the core book, Xcrawl's Got Talent. And, here's a fun fact. Valerie and I have been plotting to kill one another and destroy our works and history for 4 or 5 years now. We've been at it. So, it's been fantastic ever since we first met a long time ago in Milwaukee. And I was like,
all his players. Still not sorry.
Yep. Stole all my players. Just chumped out all my games. So, ever since then, nobody in the world can get under my skin like Val can. So, of course, I had to put her on the team so I could keep an eye on her.
Well, I appreciate the two of you putting aside your feud momentarily to appear on the same virtual show for a little while here and talk about Xcrawl. So, hopefully there won't be any virtual, fisticuffs or anything.
Oh, so. They won't be virtual when they come.
So Xcrawl Classics. That's officially the name I think we're going through, right?
Xcrawl Classics. What else? How else can I?
So Xcrawl Classics has been in the work for quite some time. It was the running joke for the longest time. Every time Brendan, like, how's Xcrawl Classics going? So, and in fact, actually, after the course of the tournament, Brendan is currently rewriting Xcrawl Classics, right? Then
I got over the course of the tournament, I got both a lot of good feedback, but I also saw a couple of things that it's all tightened up type stuff. Nothing is like major, but there's a few spell wording changes, things that people things that aren't right. I had them in my head one way, but they're described another way. Little things that have to get fixed up there. Plus, a few grammar doozies and other things got discovered. So yeah. The tournament was a great way to get a lot of feedback and a lot of information on the game. So super grateful.
No. So you've been on other programs and everything. You talked about Xcrawl. I think a lot of people already know what the general concept is. So rather than hoe that well-tilled land and everything, I think we should talk about some of the stuff which is if a Xcrawl Kickstarter will be announced, say, in the coming year, maybe a little bit down the road a little bit, so I can actually see it over the course of the Rising. So in addition to the core rulebook, there will obviously be some adventures involved. And as you say, some of the crew here is responsible for writing some of those adventures. And we have some artwork to show off as well. So we're going to bring those up. So you, Brendan, you want to talk about any of the adventure? Like, I think we just go around. Everybody can kind of talk a little bit about what the adventure they worked on, and give us some details about it in that time. But so I know we do have some. I think this is the first look at some of the covers. I think we have. I think we've shown off the rule book cover, but this is the first time we're going to be showing off some of the adventure covers here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So if Elena, do you need me to read them off? Okay, all right. So why don't we start with a awesome one that is set maybe in something what I call the San Francisco heat. Brendan, this one is what is the name of this one?
This is a Bay City Firestorm, which is a 5th level Xcrawl Classics adventure. And I'm really excited about it. I love that piece of art too. I'm so excited, Awesome. Yeah, I play tested this one for a lot of this was my go-to game for a lot of last year. And here's a fun fact. I wrote it and I hated the last room with a bloody passion, complained about it to Mike when we got to hang out live. And he sort of, I'm thinking of a different one. Sort of tipped me on towards how to correct it. Let's just say it's going to have a little bit of Mike Curtis influence there towards the end, and it's going to be amazing. So, this is going to be the sum of all Xcrawl. Like the 5th level adventure, full thing is going to be just, a really exciting crawl with some elements that no one's ever seen before in a role-playing game style adventure. I don't think, as far as the actual action of it. All right.
And I think we'll tease out the art a little bit. So James, why don't you have some words about what the adventure that you worked on for Xcrawl? I'm sure people are very interested to know about what the theme is. And
well, I got handed the idea of, basically they said mutated animals was basically like the only mandate I was given, and I was like, okay. So I looked through all the Xcrawl modules that had been published and what areas hadn't been used. And I thought, what's the weirdest place full of the craziest animals and people that I could think of? And of course I came to Florida. And I basically took every gonzo concept you ever hear coming out of Florida and put it in my adventure. And it just turned, Brendan played it. It was just, I don't know how specific I can get, but there are fan boats involved, and hybrid alligators, and the skunk ape, famous Florida mythological creatures involved, and prizes range from things like if you do really well, you might get a timeshare.
Of course.
Xcrawl is people like. Xcrawl needs to first and foremost be entertainment. It needs to be the kind of thing that if you were watching this on television, you would jump out of your chair and scream. The kind of thing that you're willing to pay several $100s to see live. So when you write, you need to write to that extreme. What is going to be so entertaining that when the players walk away, they've literally got sweat pouring down their head, and they're like, man, I want to come back and do that again. Because that's the feeling you want to evoke. So right. You just turn it up to 11. And literally the first thing I said to Brendan is, "Can I blow up the stadium?" Literally, was that not the first question?
Our first development meeting was like, all right, can I? What you actually said was, "Can I sink the whole island and kill everyone?" I was like,
he said, "You're at about a level 7. Let's turn it down to about a level 2 or 3." And I was like, okay. He's like, tone it down. So yeah, Xcrawl to me is just, how can I walk away wanting people to be like, that was the most glorious, over-the-top experience ever that I would expect to see on television. So, that's what I wrote, and I didn't really look back. And every time I showed it to Brendan, he was like, I was worried I've been pushing it too far. And he's like, no, that's great. Keep going.
So that's good. I think we're probably going to have to put a warning label on it, though. Still not as weird as actual Florida.
Well, I did cut the bath salts room.
Yeah, we decided,
Yeah, we cut that.
Seemed fair.
Yeah, seemed right.
All right. before we go to our next writer, why don't we take up why don't we the one that we recently talked about the title to, Brendan, the one that we just had the final confirmation.
The newest one. This would be okay. So everyone, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dungeon of the Future.
So what can you tell us about the Dungeon of the Future other than it's, you know?
Oh, cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
Brendan,
Death in the Dungeon of Tomorrow. Yeah. So Death
that's how
in the
exclusive
Dungeon.
this show is, people. We don't even show
Yeah.
stuff that things worked on. That's it.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, so Xcrawl class. So okay, so Death in the Dungeon of Tomorrow. What can I say about it? It's a 4th level adventure. I will say it brings back, it's the return of one of the classic Xcrawl villains. And if you've been a fan of Xcrawl for a while, since the early days, you will come across a name in there you haven't seen in a hot minute. But there are, what is this? I went all out. I went to some real extremes as far as the monsters and things went and the challenges go. I think it's got a a different twist on it. Part of the dungeon actually takes place out of Earthrealm, so it actually propels everyone into another dimension, but it is still Xcrawl that is going on there. They are still, competing, and let's just say that the audience is more involved than ever. And in fact, so involved, some of them might not make it out if your players don't manage to keep them safe. So get ready for that action.
Right.
And in love with the cover. Matt says Space Xcrawl. So there is in fact an encounter that does in fact take place in a realm which is much like that which you might call outer space. But I can't give out too many more details other than beware of planet murder.
Only an Xcrawl will get a planet murder. That's it.
Pretty excited about that.
Oh, all right. So speaking of planet murder, Julian, I like that for a segue. That's it.
Hey, I was like, hey, how'd they know my nickname? Wait, what are you? What is it me?
I'm going in the order that Brendan introduced everybody. So
I'm still confused about Sans Julian. I'm like, I'm right here. What's everybody talking
Julian,
about?
I have heard amazing things about what you have in store. And in fact, I suggested that we retitle your adventure with just a symbol. But maybe you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, why don't you tell people about yours?
Longtime Xcrawl fan, and Brendan probably remembers long ago when I first ran Dungeon Battle Brooklyn, and I started working on him, working the reps, right? And I was like, first of all, if I ever do an Xcrawl, I have to do Minneapolis, and second of all, nobody gets to, like, I don't care if I never get to do one, but then nobody gets to do Minneapolis, right? That's my hometown. So it's got to be me. And that's otherwise I'm going to get Val and you're done. So, that was it. And so, when he approached me on the project, of course, the first thing I said, okay, well, then I got to get Minneapolis, right? And he's like, well, yeah, okay. So happy to say that we did my hometown Xcrawl adventure. It's got it's got canoeing, and we got some fishing, we've got some canoeing, we've got witches in the lake there. We got some pretty cold weather. We got exactly everything you'd pretty much expect to see in a Minnesota Xcrawl. But I don't know if I succeeded, Brendan. I think you might be the only person on this show could say, but I tried my hardest in the last room to do the grossest Xcrawl encounter. Not the most dangerous, not the most gonzo, although it's pretty gonzo, but I wanted to do the kind of most.
Yeah, you succeeded. When he told me that he was shooting for that, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna come up with something grosser than my Salisbury steak slime. Yep, he did.
So, mission accomplished, and I had a blast doing this adventure, paying tribute to Minnesota, and I think my favorite thing about working with the playtest rules is just seeing how far and all these classes had come, because when I was originally running Xcrawl, we were just doing with warrior, thief, cleric and stuff. But now we got blasters and brawlers and athletes, and it's evolved, and the classes just totally slot right into the setting. It's fun as hell. And they'd be fun to drop into like friggin' Mutant Crawl classics and all kinds of crazy, cross genre stuff as well. So I just had a blast with that.
All right, that sounds awesome. All right, so we'll show one more cover, and then we'll hear from Val. So the by last but not least, my favorite title adventure out of the new ones that we're working on is a little piece of adventure we like to call. Brenda, you know the one I'm talking about?
Do not. I'm
little
what cover?
Murder.
Oh, this is it. Is this Murder Mountain?
Yeah, this Murder Mountain Smackdown, brother.
Murder Mountain Smackdown.
so you have not seen the art for Murder Mountain Smackdown, huh?
No. Oh, yeah.
That's I thought.
I haven't seen the final for it, but I knew what was coming. Yeah. Oh, look at that beauty. Oh, you are in such trouble, y'all. Yeah.
So,
but, this is one of the great things about working inside the Dungeon Crawl Classic system is that, like, a Murder Mountain Smackdown is a 0 level funnel. So just have fun dealing with my bad boy on the front cover there, you peasants. And it'll be a bunch of bike messengers, baristas, and college students all up against that. So get ready, baby, get ready. Oh, I'm so and the
yeah.
I love it with the title and the lettering.
Okay, all right. So Val, let's get the information. Let's get the news on your adventure and how much you thwarted your arch nemesis in writing it there.
Well, all joking aside, I really like Brendan and I want him to turn his back on me. So, no, I've been a big fan of Xcrawl for as soon as I heard of it, I had to sit down and play. And so I've, any chance I get, by hook or by crook, I get an Xcrawl game with Brendan or whoever. So I was talking to him about it one day at Gen Con many years ago. And I asked him if he'd figured out the 0 level funnel for it. And he said no. And so I wound up pitching him Xcrawl's Got Talent. Which I don't know exactly if you were like, yeah, whatever, but you told me to write it.
Yes, let's tell it. We were on the escalator going down to get food, and I was like, I just don't know what to do with this 0 level funnel. How does a 0 level funnel work in Xcrawl? And Valerie casually throws up, oh, how about like Xcrawl's Got Talent? And I was like, yes, write that. I was like, I was gonna lose my mind. It just this is what working with Val is like. She'll just sort of like, oh, here's a thing that you should have thought of 100 years ago, foolish. And it's like,
yeah, we have very good synergy. He'll say something and I'll think of an idea, and then I'll say something, he comes up with an idea, and it just kind of bounces off a lot.
Yeah. Again, all kidding aside, Val's been an amazing creative partner and was a big help working on the core book.
So it was a lot of fun.
So Val, is Xcrawl's Got Talent like everything it says on the tin? I mean, is it?
Yeah, it's a bunch of people from all over the empire of Ronald I. May he live forever. I'll audition, send in tapes to, seem cool enough to go on TV and go through the knowingly go through the meat grinder to become an actual Xcrawl professional adventurer. So, I took inspiration from all kinds of things. Like, I was thinking about American Gladiator from when I was a kid, and Thunderdome, and Hunger Games, and all those things. They're all volunteering to probably die, but they're happy to be there. So.
Is it too late to get a masked singer in there? Like, not only they're competing, but they're like really off the costumes.
No, it is not. There's actually there's a into the. Can we give this away? Can we give this? So
probably.
I'll give this. Okay, I'm gonna give out a detail from the adventure. So when your 0 level characters show up, they're all a bunch of nobodies. So they have a design person in the studio who takes a look at you and gives you an instant gimmick. So there's a table in there that your character can suddenly like, oh, you're the angry student or the gambler or the cowboy or whatever. So they'll just instant gimmick you. So maybe you might be a mass singer. Who knows? Mass murderer, even word.
All right. We are almost out of time. But before we go, I said, Brendan, you have spoken enough about Xcrawl over the years, so I'm tired of hearing you talk about it. So I want to talk to the new writers, the people the folks who've been working on it for a while. So what is it for what if people came out to say like I want to play why should I play Xcrawl? What would you tell them? No, so Val, what would you tell somebody if they say why should I play Xcrawl?
Because it's the most over-the-top fun you can have with a DCC styled game. I think it's, it has a lot of showmanship, and I don't know, it's got a humor to it, and just this new angle on gaming that I had never seen before, and it is a lot of fun. So. Okay,
I totally agree. Julian, same question. Returning to the McLaughlin group in the last few minutes here. So
it's all the weird, nonsensical like D&D conventions that that we took for granted for 40 years or whatever. Like, oh, you've got 5-foot squares and you're in a dungeon and they're all at right angles, and then there's a door and you check it for traps and da da da. But it's all brought out and formulated, and there's a reason in the setting to be there. It's so meta, I mean, that's kind of what I love about it, is that and then there's a plot on top of the meta, I really enjoy the way that it's actually sort of a commentary on gaming while you're playing the game. And then the genius move to set it in the North American empire of the Emperor Ronald Reagan is also the way to like make it more American rather than less American. It feels, there's always some kind of weird resonance with what's going on in a way. So it's crazy. It's the Soylent Green of DCC a little bit. I think,
It's full of people.
Yes, it is full of people.
James, same question to you as we're heading out.
Because every time you've looked at reality TV, and I mean from professional wrestling to actual current reality television, and that shameful part of yourself that's enjoyed it, that you don't want to admit enjoyed it, you can let that person free, and not like you let them free, you can give them magic and a shtick, and you can run with it, and you're going to walk away, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to enjoy it so much that you won't be ashamed anymore.
Well put. So I will say the reason to play Xcrawl is every discussion Brendan and I ever had at conventions, because we had a lot of downtime, Brendan would always come and be like, I'm working on this encounter, I'm not sure how to deal with it. It's like, right now I have velociraptors jumping out of a helicopter with parachutes on, and I'm not quite sure where to go from there. Or my favorite, it's like, well, I have Drider clowns and they have a teeter-totter and they're launching each other at which brings me to the point is that there are people who would literally play good money to vacation in Brendan's brain. I mean, they wouldn't be the same afterwards, but they would just want to see what the entertainment value of that would be. So no. So Brendan, I suppose I should give you the closing word. Do you have anything to say to people about Xcrawl Classics?
Just that I hope, it's going to be a weird ride, but I hope all of y'all will enjoy it and give it a shot. Check out the beta rules now; they're online, and there's so much more to come. And I hope that everyone, can come and sort of like, really explore this bizarre world of, it's celebrity culture, it's Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games, it's sports culture, it's capitalism, it's the weirdness that is the American experience, run through my own personal, very strange filters, and then put it into 5-foot squares and loaded with traps and all kinds of stuff. So and yes, velociraptors. And you know what the fix to that was? I put the velociraptors in little biplanes, and then it totally worked. Once I changed it out of the helicopter, like, oh yeah, then they can whiz about. So yeah, that was and here's some trivia. That was the first DCC I wrote that for Pathfinder and then converted it on the fly to DCC the first time I ever did DCC Xcrawl. So that was the first encounter in that one. So anyway, so
I've been watching from the sidelines since then. So
yeah.
All right. All right, so that's it for this show. Thank you very much, and thank you for my guests. Thank you, Julian, Val, James, and Brendan, and thank you, Matt, and because I have Matt still there. Thanks, Matt, and Joe, who's no longer here. Elena, thank you as always for doing all the hard work behind the scenes. We couldn't do the show without you. We will be back, or I will be back, at least in 1 month time, where I will have more stuff from the Maw of Mike, of updates, maybe new announcements, and I hope to see you guys then. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a good week. Bye.
Thanks, Tom.